Let's talk local sports with Standard Speaker Sports Editor Dave Seaman. It's another Dave Day here on Community NEPA News. And Dave, we have some hot local baseball and softball teams. The Hazleton area team, first year for Coach Russ Kanzler, and off to a good start for Hazleton. Dave, I was reading the Standard Speaker, got their second win over a team from the Lehigh Valley, beating Parkland. Dave, how much with Russ kind of maybe setting the tone for the team? Sometimes you see the team take on the personality of a manager. That Russ seems very laid back. He's been through, major leagues and everything like that. You see the team maybe taking on his personality a little?
Yeah, they're patient at the plate too, and if they do have a bad game, like Russ had some bad games in his professional career too. You have ups and downs. Russ isn't afraid. He's moving the team around, the players around in the lineup, and he's finding what fits, and he's mixing and matching players, to their strengths. If they seem like he thinks they're going to hit another pitcher exceptionally well, he'll move that player into the lineup, and I say he's not afraid to play the young players. He's played a lot of different young players. They've stepped up at different times. Outfielders, infielders. Michael Kilker, he's a sophomore. He's played well. Christian Ailes played well. The kid Alex Shell's played well for them. So there are a lot of players. Then you have your veterans like Gavin McGowan and Jerome Repitz and Gabe Collier, and we said Chick DeGaetano and Brady Antolik. So there's a lot of players to work with, and they've kind of bought in. If you see them on the team, they act almost like a professional team, and that definitely a reflection on Russ.
Dave, another team I'm excited to get out there and see this spring, the North Schuylkill Spartan baseball team, putting up a lot of runs in the Schuylkill League. I mean, I know Reggie Crawford right off the bat, a lot of people know his name, but there's a lot of talent on that team. They can score a lot of runs. They're on top of Schuylkill League Division I coming into this week, so we'll keep track of them. Dave, I read in one of your articles about Coach Bob Bertoni just talking about Julia Morocco, just how impressed he was with her power and presence, and only as a sophomore, right?
Yeah, she's only a sophomore, and she hits all fields. She hits line drive, she hits gaps too, and then and she really puts her weight into a ball. She can really hit the ball a long way, and she's a leadoff hitter too. And I have asked her too, like, what do you expect out of a leadoff hitter? That's usually like your table setter, get on base and let the big boppers come up and hit her. But she puts her bat on the ball too. She's going to come around the bases very quickly too, because she can really hit the ball.
And in the Schuylkill League, Marion, they got a big win last week over Minersville. Lindsey Reinhold, just very impressive there, both pitching and hitting. Mono area trying to keep pace with them. Skylar Osman and the Lady Spartans of North Schuylkill, 5-1 in the Schuylkill League coming into this week. Eric Sugarman, athletic trainer with the Minnesota Vikings, actually the VP of Sports Medicine with the Minnesota Vikings, will be receiving the Fred Zamberletti Award from the Minnesota chapter of the National Football Foundation. There was a nice article on this in the Standard Speaker recently. 23 years, Dave, he's been working in the NFL. That has to be tough. I get stressed here at work. I couldn't imagine working with a contact sport like the NFL, where you have to keep all these guys who are, one, they're human beings, and two, they're worth a lot of money to these teams, healthy and on the field. I think you've had the opportunity to talk to him throughout the years. Well deserving of all these awards.
There's no doubt about that. Eric is, the best of the best in the NFL. He's highly regarded by his peers and by the organization, obviously with the Vikings. And you look at all the injuries that he's had to deal with just with the Vikings. Adrian Peterson, Eric was lauded for his work in getting Adrian Peterson back on the football field after a horrific knee injury. Then you had a Teddy Bridgewater injury as well. A terrible injury in training camp that one season, and Teddy Bridgewater was able to come back eventually and play again. Not with the Vikings right now, but Eric was credited for the resurrection of his career. So it's a well-deserved honor, and there are a lot more examples too of Eric's work too. He's a prominent man in the community in the Minnesota, where the Vikings play, and and he's a great guy. That's the bottom line. He's a great guy too. He's never turns down a phone call or a text message, and he always likes to hear what's going on in Hazleton as well.
Dan Sugarman is a Hazleton High School graduate. Standard Speaker did their basketball awards recently. Was lucky enough to do a story with Emma Kachinsky this past season. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. Dave, she was just so much fun to interview. She had no problem laughing at herself at a few moments during the interview, but I mean, such a talented player. Loves it. Got another year. When you have the honorable mentions, I always think about that. If there was an all-area soccer team back in when I was playing in the early 2000s and I was on it, I would remember that forever. I think this is an important part of local sports, just to get all these athletes, some recognition for what they're doing.
Yeah, and you look at, you get one comment from a parent or a grandparent, thanks for including my kid. That makes it all worthwhile. And that's why, there are other teams that don't include honorable mention lists too, but to get their names in the paper one more time as a high school basketball player, if they're a senior or if they're a freshman for the first time, that's always a memorable thing.
Dave, I wanted to close with this big news from Penn State football with quarterback Tommy Stevens entering the transfer portal. And it sounds like, from all reports after hearing from his dad, he won't be back to the Nittany Lions.
Tommy Stevens is really an unknown factor as a starting quarterback, too. I mean, he showed flashes when given a chance, but when he was being a regular quarterback, who knows what would happen. I could see both sides here. I could see, Tommy Stevens wanting one great season, as a high school or as a college player coming in out of high school from Indiana. He was highly regarded, but, had to wait his turn. He thought this was his season. If it wasn't his turn, more power to him. Coaches can leave whenever they want. Why can't players,
So there we go, Dave. Thank you so much for your time. Read his work in the Standard Speaker and watch him here on Community NEPA News.